Shavua Tov, Shalom everybody. Welcome to another week of the Israel Brief with me, Rolene Marks, brought to you as always by these guys, Lay of the Land. Now, just a little note, if you happen to be on Facebook and are following our Facebook page at LOTLSITE, so that's at Lotl site, please check out our articles. It looks like Facebook is shadow banning a lot of our written content. So if you see us, say hi, read our content, and we would love it if you could share. So that over, where have you been all my life? Taking a well-deserved weekend break. But we're back now for your top stories as we are every Monday to Thursday. And the neighborhood dog couldn't agree more. It's actually quite funny because he only really starts to bark when I start to record the Israel Brief. So I guess he heard about our community and wants to be a part of it too. It is day 423 of Israel's war with Hamas, and we are counting down these days deliberately as there are still 101 hostages held in intolerable conditions in the Gaza Strip. And that takes us to our first story, and we were devastated this morning to hear from the Hostages and Missing Persons Forum that Omer Neutral, one of the hostages, is confirmed killed on the 7th of October and his body taken captive by Hamas. Omer has been held along with 100 other hostages for 423 days. Omer Neutral was just 21 years old, and he and his tank crew fought valiantly on the 7th of October before several of them were taken captive. It is believed 2 other of his tank crew were also murdered that day, and one other, Nimrod Cohen, is believed to still be alive. Omer was born in the United States and immigrated as a lone soldier to the state of Israel. And I just want to take a moment to talk about Omer's parents because they have been fighting like lions for 423 days. It is inconceivable what they must be feeling today. Our hearts, our prayers, and our love goes out to the Neutra family. May Omer's memory be eternally blessed. Now, across the political spectrum, Israeli politicians have weighed in on the news of Omer's death. President Herzog sending his heart with the Neutra family, saying that the ultimate imperative remains to bring all the hostages home. Prime Minister Netanyahu called Omer a man of values, many talents, and a Zionist. He was also lauded by Defense Minister Katz, who said that he fought valiantly like a warrior. The World Jewish Congress, the Jewish Agency for Israel, and Israel's opposition leaders Benny Gantz and Yair Lapid also paid tribute to a warrior that was Omer Neutral. May he rest in peace. Also over the weekend, Hamas released yet another propaganda video, this time of Idan Alexander, also an IDF soldier taken captive. He is still alive. The footage showed him very, very pale in terrible conditions, imploring the incoming US President, President Trump, to work for his release. Hamas released these propaganda videos to wage psychological warfare on Israel's citizens and especially the families of the hostages. And it is policy in Israel that we do not share these videos without the expressed permission of the families. Philippe Lazzarini, the chief of UNRWA, the United Nations Relief Works Agency, announced yesterday that they would be suspending aid through Israel's Kerem Shalom crossing. Now, the Kerem Shalom crossing is one of the terrestrial crossings where aid enters every day. Lazzarini blamed rampant looting by armed Gaza groups. He also blamed Israel, but gee, Mr. Lazzarini, who could those groups be? And are some of your staff members a part of those groups? The evidence is overwhelming. I will read to you what Lazzarini's actual quote said. He said, The responsibility of protection of aid workers and supplies is with the State of Israel as the occupying power. They must ensure aid flows into Gaza safely and must refrain from attacks on humanitarian workers. Now, just as an aside, UNRWA are only responsible for 7% of the distribution of humanitarian aid. Yesterday, the IDF confirmed that a World Central Kitchen aid worker was killed. It was found that he was also a member of Hamas, and not just a member of Hamas, but also actively participated in the attack on Kibbutz Nir Oz and may have been one of those responsible for the abduction of the Bibas family. Are you as sickened as I am? On to our next story, and the Houthis have claimed responsibility for firing a missile towards what they call a very important target in Israel yesterday morning. The sirens set off alarms right here in Modi'in. We had to run for shelter, and neighboring cities of Beit Shemesh and Lod. The missile, a hypersonic Palestine II missile, was intercepted before it reached Israel's borders. And finally, let's end today's broadcast on a positive note. And last week we brought you the devastating story of the murder of Rabbi Tzvi Kogan by 3 Uzbeks in the United Arab Emirates. Well, over the weekend, Dr. Ali Rashid Al Nuwan, who is a senior member of the United Arab Emirates Federal Supreme Council, flew to Israel to pay a Shiva call, to pay his respects to the family of Rabbi Kogan in Kfar Chabad in Jerusalem. Addressing the mourners, he said that Rabbi Kogan stood for openness and peace, and he said, "We will never allow extremists to separate us." Now that, Western leaders, is how you show an example of leadership. On to today's question, and just a reminder, if you do have a question regarding the situation in Israel or Judaism and sometimes even my self-care practices, please pop it in the comment section below or be in touch with us via our website. Today's question, a very pertinent one, comes from Warren in South Africa, who says, could the situation in Syria spill over into Israel? Well, all eyes are on Syria now as the Syrian rebels, who are also Islamists, clash with the Syrian army. We have a whole smorgasbord of Islamists that are engaged in battle in Syria. We've got Iran, we've got Turkey-backed rebels, we've got Iranian-backed Assad, we've got other Islamist forces, and what is very, very disturbing, and what the world seems to be silent about, is the kidnapping of Kurdish women and girls, much like we saw on October the 7th by the Turks, by some of Assad's forces. It's another horrific, almost sense of deja vu of what we saw some now nearly 14 months ago done to Israeli women, and what we saw years ago done to Yazidi women. And the world is silent. I wonder if there will be any protests across campuses or on the streets of cities around the world about this, and also about the wholesale slaughter of people in Syria. I guess we're going to have to watch the space very carefully. But back to Warren's questions, Israel has said that we are watching the situation in Syria. Speaking earlier to Sky News Arabia, Daniel Hagari, the IDF chief spokesperson, referred to Syria, saying what happens in Syria belongs to the Syrians. It has nothing to do with Israel, but we will watch and we will stop Iran smuggling weapons to Hezbollah, to Hamas through Syria, and we will do whatever we need to do to protect our borders and protect our country. So we don't expect it to. We are watching the situation carefully. Yesterday, the Prime Minister convened his security cabinet to talk about Syria. So for the moment, it is one that we are monitoring very carefully. And also a reminder, don't forget your Mensch and Moron of the Week. I already have a few candidates for the Moron of the Week, so put your thinking caps on, guys, and send them to me. But in the meantime, don't forget to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online, our Facebook page at Lottel's site, our YouTube channel right here at the Israel Brief. We are on X at Lay of the Land 5, on Instagram at Rolene_Marks, and on LinkedIn at Rolene Marks. And guys, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. God bless. Take care of yourselves and each other. And I will see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.